Da 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 da.
This is the Troll live with Justin FREAKIN.
Breed Creed asks an incredibly profound question. What the hell do I want? And let me tell you what the hell I want. I want justice for Breonna Taylor. Now, we've been covering this case pretty heavily. I wanted to speak about a couple of things over the last few nights, but we've had other issues come up. But we've got breaking news. Just now, a judge has ruled in Louisville, Kentucky, that the grand juror who has requested that they be able to speak, and under condition of anonymity, will be allowed to speak, despite requests from Attorney General James Cameron. So that order is just coming down a few minutes ago. On Friday, did I say James Cameron? Attorney General Daniel Cameron asked that the evidence from the grand jury remain sealed. And then he filed a motion asking for a stay should the judge rule this way, as she did today. Asked for a stay in case she ruled that way so he could appeal to a higher court. Now, does that sound like a man who wants open transparency and justice? It certainly doesn't. Now, what was interesting about the order that I just read here was that the ruling also says the state had expressed that it felt the grand juror speaking could compromise Hankinson's right to a fair trial. However, the judge said since Hankinson didn't join the argument or request to be heard in court, the court could not find that this concern is founded in reality. But this actually says that Hankinson's attorney asked the circuit judge to allow evidence, since Smith's previous decision to allow evidence to be released. Hold on. In a joint motion filed together with former Louisville police officer Brett Hankinson's attorney, Cameron asked Circuit Judge Ann Bailey Smith's previous decision to allow evidence to be released to be revoked, or for the evidence to be sealed until trial. The judge had ordered the names to be redacted in order to protect that evidence. She called the Commonwealth's objection theatrical Sturm and Drang? I've never heard that that phrase before. Sturm and Drang. Und Drang was a proto-romantic movement in German literature and music that occurred between... Interesting. Well, we learned something on the show today. I had never heard of that German movement from the 18th century. Literally called the Commonwealth's objection. I don't think... It's a literary reference. I don't know about literal. So the juror is going to be holding a news conference here in about 15 minutes. Apparently the juror will not be speaking, but we're going to hear from his lawyer. So let's hope they have a statement to release now that they can actually talk about the evidence in the case. And we'll get some new information here in about a quarter of an hour. Until then, there's a couple things I wanted to talk about. New footage of the incident has come out. I'm not sure that I've actually had the chance to watch it yet, so we're probably watching it together for the first time here. So this is new body camera footage. I assume it's from the cops that arrived on the scene. Now, according to the Vice News report, one of the cops that actually did conduct the raid did appear to have a body camera on before the raid started when they were taking pictures. But it appears that the Attorney General's office says that they didn't actually have a camera on. We'll see.
10:30, officer down. 10:30, officer shot on Springfield.
What's the location?
Officer shot on Springfield, 10:30. I see EMS. EMS is around the corner, radio. We need EMS backing up here now.
I'm getting him started.
Already down the street. Tell him to get up here.
Right, okay, use the start to Springfield Drive. We have EMS in the way.
1 David on Springfield. Where y'all at?
Notice how it says he's the first one with an activated body cam. As I said, the Vice News report seems to indicate that at least one of the officers that conducted the raid did indeed have a camera on him. Was it on or not?
3007 Springfield Drive.
This is part of the cover-up that the Attorney General's office has been engaged in.
Patrol, ram that fucking gate now! Ram it with your car! Ram it!
What? That's another thing that I have a problem with cops about. They just do whatever the fuck they want without any regard for anybody else. This is a residential apartment building. They're yelling, just ram down the gate to the fucking parking lot of a residential apartment building.
Here, quick light.
And this concern isn't because they shot an innocent person and want to make sure they get her help. No. This concern is because a motherfucker had a flesh wound on his leg.
Here, we're gonna take Here, cut it with my knife. You okay, John? John, you okay?
Look how concerned they are while an innocent person lay dying in the apartment because of their actions.
Officers encountered rifle fire. Officer down. Bring long guns. Subject is still inside, radio, barricaded with a long rifle. Looks like an AR.
Subject still inside here.
This subject, barricaded with a long rifle, looks like an AR. It's completely fabricated. Kenneth Walker had a legally owned firearm that he fired one shot at what he thought was an intruder. These motherfuckers are claiming a dude is barricaded in with an AR. And that's another thing. When we went through the grand jury testimony, the cops multiple times said 8, 10 shots, 15 shots at us. One shot. That was all. These motherfuckers don't have very good judgment.
Barricaded with an AR.
Be advised. He is still inside. We've got cover on the door. We don't know if there's a back door to this place.
Looks like an upstairs apartment.
Now remember, this SWAT team that arrived on the scene called what the team that conducted the raid did an egregious act. They had serious misgivings about what the cops that were on the scene before them did.
Upstairs apartment. Text your family. Hey, upstairs apartment. You want me to get in the turret? Cover high? Yes. What'd you say, Sarge? Text your family. And upstairs
I think it's an upstairs apartment.
Then I'll pull up and we get your fucking room. And what if it's my mom? Okay.
Person at apartment number 4. Building 303. Apartment number 4. Please come out with your hands up. You have to tap louder. I cannot hear you. Keep your fucking hands up. Coming out. Step to your right. 2 steps. To your right. 2 steps. Now step down on the step and keep staying.
Now, at some point in time during this interaction, he is going to state that Brianna was the one that shot the handgun. That's not true. A lot of right-wingers point to this and say, well, he lied to the cops. Well, I don't know. There's going to be a dog that's going to be barking at him. They're going to be ordering him to get down on the ground. Multiple cops have guns pointed at his head. I wouldn't trust what somebody said in that moment and use that as evidence against them.
Keep walking backwards. Step down, and I want you to walk between these cars.
After the Rodney King beating, son, do you know anything about American history? Holy fucking shit. Do you think racial strife started with Rodney King? God damn, get out of here with that stupid shit.
Walk straight down the steps or backwards. Keep walking backwards. One more step, sir.
The media isn't highlighting a pre-election distraction.
2 vehicles.
I am highlighting government corruption in police departments.
Yeah. Keep walking. Do not do anything else. Do not reach down. We'll get him right here. 20, right here. Keep coming back, sir. Keep coming back, sir.
And I want you to take notice of the fact that they're going to tell him that he's going to spend the rest of his life in jail. These motherfuckers that are supposed to be conducting an investigation, they're supposed to be protecting and serving, are telling an innocent person that they just terrorized that he's going to be spending the rest of his life in jail because of their actions. And if they had their way, and if the media didn't have attention on this, he probably would have. Because cops can get away with anything. That's how they imprisoned him for 2 fucking months. Because it wasn't until the George Floyd protests that this really came to light and people started paying attention to this story. That man right there spent 2 months of his life unjustly in jail.
Keep walking backward. You're scared. Right.
Walk straight back or I'll send this dog on you. Walk back to my boy. Walk back or I'll send this dog. Walk back to me. Keep on walking. Walk down. Walk.
No American citizen should ever face this, and that's what our Constitution is about.
What did I do?
Who else in the apartment?
Nobody. My girlfriend's dead.
Tell them we have 1 10 15.
Where? I don't know.
Inside?
Yeah, somebody. Yeah, I was banging at the door and she said, "Who is it?" And the other started shooting.
No, we down 3 times. 3 searches.
This pocket's clear.
There's somebody in there dead?
Yeah, my girlfriend. It's
Somebody in there dead. You just shot the motherfucking place up. What do you expect? Holy shit. The pictures are insane of what they did to the front of that apartment.
That was my house.
We have to go in if there's somebody.
What is this about?
I'm with you if you want to go.
We're both just regular worker people.
Where is she at in the apartment?
She's on the ground.
Where at?
In the hallway.
Where you shot her, you dumb fuck?
It's a regular 9mm.
Did she shoot or you shoot it?
It was her. You're scared.
So that's where he says it was her.
We didn't even know who it was. We didn't know who it was.
I'd say some crazy ass shit too if I had a dog barking at me and all kinds of guns pointed at my head.
Got you.
We was in the bed. We didn't know who it was. The gun's legal, like, and everything. We don't even know who it was. I don't know who it is. She asked 10 times.
We don't know whose it is.
Door.
Here.
Hang on. Here comes the fence.
Hey, heads up, man. Stay back a little bit.
Oh, God. Is Joe good?
Everybody okay?
Yeah.
You all right, Joe?
So we are awaiting a press conference by the grand juror's attorney that asked to be able to speak. That's going to take place here in about 5 minutes. We're going to flip over to that.
Watch out. Watch the door. Watch the door. Door, front door. Hey, I'm throwing it to the front door.
Hey, you're not gonna get over that lip. We're gonna have to go up there.
All right, that's fine. Give him one.
One on me.
Now they're right in front of her. She's in that hallway.
Hey, Hogan.
Cover her. Cover her. Hold on, Sergeant. Give me another body.
I'm here.
Hold on. We're gonna stay here, Zoo. Go with Sarge and clear that room to the right. And he's posted. One on me.
I got you.
Hold on. I got her. One on me.
I'm here.
I got him. Fighting this door too.
Hang on.
Hey, Mark. Yeah.
And one of the things that the cops have tried to do
Baker, out of that room.
is describe this as a trap house. Look, that's a nice fucking apartment building. They described it multiple times as trap house. Fuck. Mainly because when she was on a phone call with her ex-boyfriend, I think it was, in the jail, she said back at the trap. Because it's just like a fucking nomenclature. It's slang, goddammit.
Room.
I'm good right now. I'm good.
Cover from the other side. We got a bathroom that sucks back.
Hold on, Mike. All right.
Closet immediately left.
You got 2 closets that folding doors.
All right.
To your left and an open bathroom. Looks to be mostly clear. I'm up.
You know, if you're going to say something racist, you should at least know what lean is. But hey,
Oh, I can see he's clear.
right-wingers are morons.
Hogan.
Yep. Clear.
You ready?
Yeah. Let's get this bed real quick. Let's get this bed. Let's look on our bed real quick.
Hang on, let's check the bed.
Yo, hey, man. Have them pop that door.
I don't think you know what lean is if you think it's Skittles and tea, dumb fuck.
We still gotta check the bed.
Check her. We gotta check her. Check her. Make sure she's good.
Hey, lift the bed up. I'm gonna go this way with my pistol or rifle.
Yeah. Go ahead and get EMS in here. Oh.
Clear.
Roll her over. Joe. There you go, buddy. Ma'am, can you hear us? Louisville Metro Police Department. Check that wrist, dude. Check the wrist. Medic up. Medic up. Scene secure. She's 1080. We're leaving a couple people in here to hold the scene.
So yeah, this is the video of Hankinson entering the apartment, which we watched the other day.
So I think it's casings right there. Sorry. Right there. You're all casings. They're casings. So, oh, that's their gun.
Because this was released during the grand jury dump.
That's theirs.
No, it's ours. It looks like theirs is in there. But I'd back out until they get TIU in here. So.
Yes, lean is not Skittles and tea. Dumb fuck. God, and you're just fucking pulling that out of your ass because you're a racist idiot. And you're wanting to paint an innocent fucking kid that died as something that he wasn't. I'm not here for it. But hey! Right-wingers are morons. So let's go flip back over to, I think we were on WKYT. WLKY. It said you'd be able to watch in a player. I don't see a player.
Senator Jones said he'll try to stop President Trump's Supreme Court.
Well, yeah. Doesn't look like they're taking it live. Attacked first. You know what I would do if somebody's stalking me? Who, by the way, was told by 911 not to approach him? Yeah, I'd beat the fuck out of him, too. It's called your right as an American citizen to beat someone's ass. And you're gonna defend George Zimmerman? How many times has he been arrested since then? Fucking right-wingers are goddamn morons. I've never understood that about that case. So Zimmerman has a right to shoot and kill him because apparently he feared for his life, but the kid can't fear for his life because some adult was stalking him. That makes zero fucking sense, and that's why I just break down and call right-wingers goddamn morons. Because they are.
Self, we want you to know.
Because it doesn't matter what facts are. It matters whatever conforms to their twisted fucking worldview. I'd really like to watch this press conference live. We can check YouTube and see what's going on live. See if they've got somebody covering it. It's probably going to be WLKY or WKYT. Because I am incredibly interested to hear what the juror's attorney has to say. So, WKYT doesn't seem to have a live stream going right now. Let's go. This is back to WLKY. Maybe I misread. I could have sworn it said that they would be taking the news conference live.
At Baptist Health, we want you to know the fact.
Oh, shut the fuck up. The juror's attorney, Kevin Glaugauer. Conference at 2:30. It's 2:30 right now. See if it pops up after this ad. If not, I would like to watch the Kenneth Walker interview that he gave the other night. Okay, so here we go.
Grand juror number 2, who again, and you all know this, has joined in with the Glaugauer law team to be represented as it relates to this whole unfolding situation with trying to, at least in attempting to unsilence the grand jurors through these.
What does constitutional republic have to do with left and right? Goddamn right-wingers are stupid.
I'd like to bring up Attorney Kevin Glaugauer to go over everything that's occurred in the last several hours as it relates to Judge Annie O'Connell's order. Kevin.
Thank you, Chris. Good afternoon, everybody. First and foremost, we'll let you all know that our office has already spoken with both anonymous grand juror number 1 and number 2, who are very pleased to report that the judge ruled in favor of disclosure, in favor of truth and transparency, and in the interest of public trust. There is a statement that's been released in writing that you all can refer to, and I will answer any questions related to that. But specifically, we've got the order in hand here from my colleague, Mr. John Britton. I want to acknowledge Eric Weber, who's been an integral part of the team as well, and Matt Farah, who couldn't be with us this afternoon. In the court's order, the court weighed all the law and all the facts in this particular case, and specifically weighed the public interest at issue. And the court issued what is a 9-page, very detailed, very well-written order. And the most relevant part to what we're here for today is where she granted our motion to release the grand jury proceedings to include the unrecorded portions, specifically because Attorney General Daniel Cameron kept making statements.
Now that was part of the contention, was that when they released the grand jury recordings, what Daniel Cameron and his office actually recommended to the jurors is not on those recordings. That was one of the things that they wanted to, because if the grand jury was never given the option of indicting the other cops, then it's clear that there was a cover-up. But Daniel Cameron has used the grand jury as a shield and said, no. They said the other cops didn't need to be indicted, but a grand jury is only they're at the mercy of what the prosecutor presents to them. That's why well over 90% of the civilian cases that go before a grand jury, if you and I go before a grand jury, we're almost certainly going to get indicted. Because a prosecutor is in 100% charge of the proceedings.
Or written permission from those individuals. Our clients at this time, as I stated, are very, very pleased. We as a legal team are very pleased and very proud of them for their courage and their efforts in stepping forward, and we're very proud to work with Game Changers and Chris in trying to help the community gain some understanding here on what really happened during the grand jury proceedings. But at this time, our clients do wish to remain anonymous. We are still assessing their position moving forward, and obviously we will monitor any steps that are taken or actions by the Attorney General's office. That's pretty much it in sum. If people have some questions, I'm more than happy to answer them to the best of my ability. Yes, sir.
A real quick clarification, you said all 12 of them. I was under the impression there was more than 12 people on the grand jury. Is there just 12?
There are 12 grand jurors that deliberate. There are often alternates that are there in case someone becomes ill or is otherwise unable to perform that duty during that time period. But I believe this order would pertain to the 12 that actually deliberated on this particular case.
Given that there's not a stay, we can talk specifics now. So what specifically, because this is something that we haven't been able to get to, what is your grand jurors concerned about with the presentation of the Breonna Taylor?
Here we go.
Specifically, the concerns, I think what you're asking is the way that it was portrayed to the public as to who made what decisions and who agreed with what decisions, quite frankly. I think if you look at the Attorney General's statements, they've walked...
One of the things that came out was that the grand jurors actually asked for more evidence. They asked for more body camera footage, and they were denied. They were told they couldn't see it. That's one of the things that they're wanting to come forward and show the public.
Clients, but only to protect their rights. And when they give me permission to speak for them, I will do that.
Also, I don't believe the grand jurors knew that they obtained the warrant illegally, which, fruit of the poison tree. From the moment they obtained a warrant illegally, every other action is illegal.
I wouldn't think it would take terribly long, but the one thing you have to consider is if there's an appeal at the next level, there's always the...
Also, apparently the jurors weren't told that all 12 witnesses said that the cops didn't identify themselves. They were told about the one of the 12 that changed their story a couple months later. Because that's what this is all hinging on. It was a no-knock raid. They had a warrant for a no-knock raid, but they said they announced themselves. Because if it was a no-knock raid and they didn't announce themselves and Kenneth Walker shot and he didn't know it was cops, he's 100% in the clear. He's just defending his domicile. But if he knew it was the cops and he shot at him, which the 911 call clearly states he did not know the cops were at the door. He thought he was shooting at an intruder, which is 100% in his rights. And right-wing gun nuts should be coming to his defense, but they never do.
Their own discussions, and in the event that they wanted to do that, you could certainly ask one of them that question, and they are now entitled to answer that if they so choose.
One of the things mentioned in the written statement is that the grand jurors were not presented with any charges besides the one endangerment charges, because, for whatever reason. Would it be normal in your experience for a prosecutor to present charges that it did not feel could be successfully prosecuted in the court?
That's a good question. It's a very technical question. The actual rule on point is that a prosecutor is not allowed to present any charge that they don't believe is supported by probable cause. It's not exactly the same standard as a successful conviction at trial. However, in this particular case, there were certain statements, again, that were made by the Attorney General that don't really allude to that decision having been made by that office, although it would certainly appear that they made an assessment as to whether or not the law of justification or self-defense was going to prevail at trial. That is not something that we believe, and I think we can comment based on what's been provided in writing, that the grand jurors necessarily agreed with or were even given the opportunity to weigh in on.
So just to clarify, your grand jurors at least believe that there at least should have been some discussion about the possibility of self-defense laws, and there wasn't.
Our grand jurors have stated in our written statement that's been released that those laws were not discussed with the grand jurors. Obviously, as you all know, after having the opportunity to review the 15 hours worth of recordings and going through the PIU files, there's a lot of evidence that was provided to the grand jurors. However, once that evidence is provided, the assessment has to be made as to how it applies to the law. The only opportunity that they were given that we can now ascertain from our client's statement, the recordings and the PIU files, were the wanton endangerments. No other laws were discussed, whether it be particular to a certain offense or a defense to a certain offense.
Can you discuss just generally what your clients might be weighing right now in terms of if and when they would speak out?
There's a lot of things to weigh as to if and when to speak out, and I think that would apply to all of the jurors that were a part of this case. As we've talked about before, there is no way to really figure out what level of public scrutiny they could see, whether it be good or bad. As we noted in our filing and as we've discussed freely before, neither of our grand jurors are in this for any type of acclaim. They're not really seeking that media attention. They wanted to contribute to the truth and transparency of this proceeding.
They want to let the public know what a liar Daniel Cameron is.
They have to weigh all of that, their own privacy interests, and then again, as we've discussed, any potential appeal and how that may affect their legal rights.
Always listen to Megan Thee Stallion. She knows what she's talking about.
They'd be open to written
She's savage.
Again, it's moving parts. It's continuing to be assessed. There has been a written statement released on behalf of anonymous grand juror number 1, and there was a brief mention of anonymous grand juror number 2 as well in that statement. And at this time, they will stand on that statement and continue to monitor any developments in the case.
If getting the truth out about what happened in the grand jury proceeding is the ultimate goal here, and doing it quickly, why not have the grand jurors make statements that are detailed now before the Attorney General can file it?
Well, I mean, the ruling just came down a couple of hours ago.
It's a personal decision for the clients, and what was discussed and contemplated was what was put out in writing. I would submit that it covers a lot of ground, although it's pretty brief. I think it is pretty specific to the major points of conversation. And obviously, we're interested to see what and if there's a response from the Attorney General's office, and we'll continue to monitor it.
How unique is it for jurors to speak publicly about a case like this? And also, how might this affect the case going forward?
How might it affect Detective Hankison's case or the case? I'm sorry, I just want to make sure I'm clear on your question.
How might it affect anything moving forward as far as what your clients may say publicly?
Very well. The first part of your question, it is very unique to have jurors speak out. It's not entirely unprecedented over the history of our nation. It has happened before. It's happened in the Commonwealth of Kentucky, I think back in like 78 or 79, on a very publicized case as well. But in the modern age, the nearest comparison is in Ferguson, which has been discussed with this case already in Missouri. But as far as what implications it could have moving forward, very few on this particular case, other than some potential regarding anyone who's not been charged with an offense. Theoretically, it could impact that in some way. But as far as the
that's what we're wanting.
Circuit Court, Commonwealth versus Detective Brett Hankison, that'll move forward unfettered, untethered, with no issues whatsoever based on these statements. The bulk of that has already been put out into the public with the recordings of the grand jury as well as the public integrity file. It's our understanding, and again, you got to read between some of the lines sometimes from our public officials, but it's our understanding they intend to prosecute that all the way through to its end, and I don't think this will have any direct effect on that whatsoever.
You said you had a conversation with Grand Juror 1, both of them?
Yes.
Can you tell me how they're feeling right now or what their thoughts are?
They're pleased with the result. And again, the conversation was short. It was informative in nature and gaining their consent to release the written statement and making sure they were okay with the wording and everything that was being put out. But to answer your question as to how they feel good about what they're doing. They're happy with the result. They're still cautious about where they go next, and we discussed that very briefly as well. And our office made sure to let them know that we were very proud of them and impressed by their courage throughout the process thus far.
And just to be clear, you're waiting on Daniel Penman's response before you let them talk?
We're waiting on a number of things, but that's one of them, yes. Whatever the response is from the Attorney General, or if they were to file an appeal, legally that would actually stay the order. That's our opinion legally. That's what we discuss with our clients. So if they file that appeal, whether it's today, tomorrow, or the next day, we would...
Technically, they already filed that appeal on Friday.
Said there were multiple things. What other things might you be waiting on?
I'm sorry?
You said there were multiple things you were considering before allowing your clients to speak, and one of them being the appeal. What are the other things that you're considering right now?
Again, it's mostly their comfort level, whether or not they feel good about putting themselves in this position, talking in front of cameras or microphones, doing interviews, how they feel about their anonymity. Although the order is very thorough and we'll continue to parse through it, there was specific language in there about protecting the anonymity of not only our clients but the remaining jurors. So that's something that we would have to discuss as well. And we respect our media a great deal here in Kentucky and across the country, but someone who's never answered questions that have legal implications, you got to be real careful, especially when there are certain interests that have to remain protected. And there are orders that are active out of the Hankison case that also restrict certain things that can be discussed. So that's, again, we're in the very new period of having this order. So there's a lot of moving parts. We've got to see what, if any, response comes from Frankfurt, but also just generally how do our clients feel? Are they aware of all the things they can talk about, and then does that make them more or less likely to sit down and talk?
What's his timeline to appeal? Does he have a certain time limit, 30 days, 2 weeks?
Well, generally, yes, about 30 days or so to file it. The order, as we interpret it, is final at this time, so they could appeal it whenever they wanted. We don't know what they're going to do. Obviously, we've not had any discussion with them today or really since the hearing. So,
expect them to try to cover their tracks as much as they can. Any legal wrangling they can resort to, they absolutely will.
I don't have a personal stake in it. You know, we're here to protect our clients' interest, and we feel like that's what we've been doing all along. We respect their decisions regarding what they want to do. So we're just going to continue to monitor and advise them accordingly.
Have you been contacted by any other grand jurors besides these two?
Not at this time, no, sir.
That's good. Thanks.
All right. Thank you all. Appreciate your time.
So it still seems like it's going to be some time before we actually do get some information. I'm going to take a look at that written order, and we're going to talk about that tonight on the big show. 8 o'clock, if you don't already follow or subscribe to me, do so now, down below in the description. 8 o'clock Eastern, the normal show. So now, over the weekend, Kenneth Walker gave an interview to CBS News. I think it was Gayle King. Anyone who would vote for Paul Ryan is a fucking idiot. And there hasn't been a Republican that believed in the Constitution since Eisenhower, so get that bullshit out of here. You're welcome to call in and try to argue with me on the show tonight. I'll be happy to explain it to you and present you with all the fucking evidence.
Welcome back to CBS This Morning. We have an exclusive interview with Breonna Taylor's boyfriend. His name is Kenneth Walker. Now, he was with Taylor when she was killed by Louisville police officers on March 13th. He told us that they were in bed watching a movie when police raided the apartment as part of a narcotics investigation that was targeting her ex-boyfriend. We should point out that Kenneth Walker and Breonna Taylor do not have a criminal history, and no illegal drugs were found in that home. We went to Louisville over the weekend to talk with Kenneth Walker about that night.
To the world, it's just a hashtag, a picture, and all of that. But to me, it was much more. More than a girlfriend, too. I think that's what I want the world to know the most. That was my best friend. The most important person, pretty much, to me on the earth. And they took her.
Let's go back to that day. What kind of day was it for you two?
It was a normal day. It was a relaxed day. Really just chilling and just being us. You know, we went on a date, went out to eat, went back in the house, playing, watching a movie.
Take us to that moment when your life really changed forever.
It was a loud bang at the door. Nobody was responding when we were saying, "Who is it?"
You all did ask, "Who is it?"
Several times. Several times, both of us. There was no response.
The police say that they said several times, "It's the police."
If they knock on the door
and 12 witnesses said they didn't.
Dead silent. I know 1,000,000% sure that nobody identified themselves.
And 12 people agreed with him.
The next thing you hear, the door flies off the hinges. Are you feeling afraid?
Definitely afraid. But I don't have much room to be afraid because I got somebody here that I got to take care of.
So you hear the heavy knocking, and what do you do?
So now at that point, we're getting up to put on clothes, make ourselves decent to answer the door. Then I grabbed my gun.
We should also say you were licensed to carry the gun.
For sure. That was the one time I had to use it. I mean, if it was the police at the door and they just said we're the police, me or Breonna didn't have a reason at all not to open the door and see what they wanted.
So the doors fly off the hinges.
I let off one shot, and I'm figuring if somebody's trying to break in or something, they're not gonna want to do anything after that.
And after that, what happens?
I don't think I ever heard so many gunshots like all at the same time. I've never been to war, but I assume that's what war probably sounds like.
One officer fired 6 shots. Officer Mattingly. Officer Cosgrove fired 16 shots. Officer Hankinson fired 10 shots. That is a lot of firepower.
I still try to make sense of it to this day.
in a residential area.
Bullets coming in every direction.
When did you realize that Breonna had been shot?
I guess in the middle of all the gunfire, like she screamed. But like I was holding her hand.
You were holding her hand?
Yeah, like while this was happening, I pulled her down to the ground. But you know, she was just scared, so she just didn't get down.
So in the middle of all of this, you realize that she's been hit. Was she alive at the time?
She was still, and when all the gunfire stopped, she was like bleeding and stuff, and I was holding her. You know, then that's when I called my mom.
You called your mom first?
Yeah, I told her that somebody just kicked in the door and shot Breonna, and she's freaking out at this point, but she told me to call 911, so I did.
911, Operator Harris, where is their emergency?
I don't know what's happening. Somebody kicked in the door and shot my girlfriend.
While you're on the phone, you don't know it's the police.
Exactly.
I didn't know it was the police, not at all, and I even proceeded to tell 911 that, you know, somebody just kicked in the door and shot my girlfriend. You know, I didn't. If I knew who it was, I would have said the police. Or I wouldn't have been calling the police on the police. Like, that doesn't even make sense.
Where was she shot at?
I don't know. She's on the ground right now. I don't know.
Is she alert and able to talk to you?
No.
No, she's not. Breathe. God.
In the midst of me talking to 911, I'm like, well, Breonna's mama should know about this too. I hung up on them and I called her mom.
The police didn't come rushing in?
Not at all.
No, they were more concerned with the dude with the flesh wound.
I was on the phone with Breonna's mom.
Because they're not there to protect and serve.
I thought they was, you know, coming for help because I called 911.
So you think they're coming to help you?
Yes. So when I come outside, there's guns pointed at me. You know, I'm being threatened with dogs.
It's amazed that this guy walked away alive.
Don't look back. Put your hands on your head. That's what's going on.
The officer asked me, was I hit by any bullets? I said no. He said, that's unfortunate. So
that's unfortunate.
So I'm like, what's he mean by that?
That's unfortunate, he said to you after you've just lost your girl.
Well, yeah, because they wanted to kill everybody, so there were no fucking witnesses, because that's what cops do.
And I really wasn't worried about me. The only reason I'm even out here is because the only way for her to get help in there is for me to be out here.
We were scared. No, we didn't know who it was. We didn't even know who it was.
And imagine what's going through his mind. He still has no clue what all this shit is about.
Cold, it was wet. I didn't have any socks and shoes, on gravel, rocks, and everything, and they were just dragging me like I had scabs and stuff on my feet from that.
When they take you to the police station, still no socks and shoes?
Still no socks and shoes. When we finally left the scene, we pulled over in like a random parking lot on Manslick, which is the street like at the bottom of the hill down the street from Breonna's apartment. And another officer in an unmarked car, and he wasn't in uniform and stuff, and he came to my window, but his tone was way different than everybody else's who was just on the scene.
How so? Different how?
This must have been PUI.
This was a misunderstanding.
PIU.
We're gonna get to the bottom of it and
Public Integrity Unit.
Did I need anything? Did I need water and this and that?
Hey, partner, can I get your name? Kenneth Walker. Matt, there was a little bit of miscommunication. I wanted to talk to you before they left.
And then when I
got a little bit of miscommunication.
They took the handcuffs off me and everything. I was walking around. I went to the bathroom.
Go ahead. When you get in there, you can take the handcuffs off.
So clearly y'all know something's wrong. Because you don't...
You're allowed to move freely.
Yeah, you don't allegedly shoot a police officer and they take the handcuffs off you.
Were you surprised to hear that you were accused of shooting a police officer?
I definitely was surprised. But I was more concerned about, is he okay and is Breonna okay?
Wow.
I still didn't even know if she was alive or not.
So when did officers tell you you were going to be charged with attempted murder? When did you hear that?
Maybe like 5 or 6 in the morning that same night.
What did you think?
I was worried about if Breonna was okay or not.
When were you finally told that Breonna didn't make it?
I never really got told, like, directly. I saw it on the news.
That's how you heard Breonna Taylor died? On the news?
Pretty much.
Wow, I didn't know that.
And I was in the cell, and it was, like, on the news, and it said one, you know, female dead. It confirmed it. You know, I didn't know for sure what condition, you know, she was in when I left. So I didn't know what they did, man. As these body cam videos and stuff come out, I see they did nothing.
Exactly.
We see the SWAT team in there.
They just step over her.
In there. They're still like casing the apartment with her laying right there on the ground.
Apartment 4 is now a crime scene. Let's go ahead and move out. All right, she's done.
Disrespectful.
It is.
Do you think if you had not survived this incident, that we would be hearing the story that we're hearing today? If you had not survived it?
Exactly.
There wouldn't be a story.
And they tried to silence him.
Probably wouldn't even know about it.
If it hadn't been for the George Floyd protests, we probably wouldn't know about it. And this motherfucker would still be in jail, this poor guy. Holy shit.
Breonna Taylor or Kenny Walker?
Or Kenny Walker. I don't want everybody to know about Kenny Walker now. As long as everybody knows Breonna Taylor.
And what do you want us to know about Breonna Taylor?
Just, she would have did anything for anybody. She took care of a lot of people. There's a lot of people that need her bad right now. Including me.
Boy. Wow.
A grand jury accepted the Kentucky Attorney General's recommendation.
Fucking sane. And the fact that all Americans aren't pissed off on behalf of this motherfucker's violation, having his constitutional rights violated, is insane to me. Why aren't gun owners coming to his defense? Where's the fucking NRA? That's my problem with right-wingers. They're never intellectually consistent. If you'd like to call up tonight during the actual show, I'm more than happy to explain to you the difference between the left and the right and why I'm done having any compassion or any giving any credence to the right's dumb fuck ideas. Right-wingers never have a goddamn clue what they're talking about. You want to find out what a right-winger's all about? Go watch my debate with Old Gord. Go. It was last Wednesday. Old Gord is your typical right-winger. Didn't have a goddamn clue what he was talking about. I put up the facts on the screen, confronted him with it, and he's like, that's fake news. That's stupid. Blah, blah. So that's why I am done with right-wingers. I've been called a libtard, a cuck, fucking snowflake, all kinds of names for 6, 7, 8 years now by people that never know their asses from a hole in the ground. So, hey, if you want to call up and tell me I'm stupid, I'm happy to take your call, explain to you why you're wrong using logic and reason, and present you with the evidence. But you won't do it. Because right-wingers live in a fucking bubble. And listening to me will pierce that bubble. And right-wingers, they like being morons. So please, do call up and argue with me tonight, 8 o'clock Eastern. I do the show every night. I dare you. I dare you. So go ahead, light one up, tip one back. It's all right to have a little fun before you hit the sack. I'm Justin Freakin. We'll be back tonight at 8 p.m. Eastern with the Troll Patrol. Live.